This is the site of an early plantation home in Rockingham County, North Carolina, near Highway 150 east, south of Reedsville, about 6 miles. This is the home of Jeff Garrett. I found a lot of artifacts in front of where the plantation home used to be. They help date the house out in the early 1800s. Most of the artifacts found here were coins, a few buttons, and rings. Where the home stood until it was torn down in the early 1990s or 2000. What's left of the home is a row of boxwoods on each side of each other that led up to the house. The front yard, I used an old metal detector. I found the oldest button I found was a flat button that dates to about 1830. Numerous coins were found on the property back where the house stood. The oldest coin I think was 1885 Indian head penny. Found several Indian head pennies. Found a lot of coins from the early 1900s, wheat pennies, buffalo nickels, and dimes. Found a barber dime, 1914, on the property next to the old well and stone chimney. A ring was found on the property, a silver ring. That dated to about late 1800s. It was found to the right of this big oak tree. It was a friendship ring. Various other items were found, like utensils, spoons, parts of a coffee pot, and crockery. Now we're going to proceed to a cabin site on the back side of the property that's even older, which belonged to the uncle of Jeff Garrett. And some people think that this site may have been the site of the first public school in North Carolina, Williamsburg, which is in our history books. That's just, we're not sure exactly where the site was, but this is one of the sites we think it may have been. Jeff Garrett was a school teacher in the early 1900s, I believe. And he lost the plantation because he liked to gamble. This cabin site is connected with the main plantation home of Jeff Garrett up on the road we just visited. And this is a cabin site that may have belonged to his uncle. And this cabin site probably dates from the late 1700s or late 18th century up into the early 1800s due to the artifacts I found here that date all the way back to maybe the post-colonial period. The cabin actually stood in front of the cedar tree where the stone chimney was, and it spread out to about 100 feet in front of this tree. And I found a lot of artifacts right in this area and also behind it over here. And at the edge of this field, we think there may have been a garbage dump because I found some unique artifacts right in this spot. But this is a good example of how to preserve history with relic hunting before development takes place. As you see in the background, there's a bulldozer. This whole area was scraped off by a bulldozer right after I went in it, and after it was scraped, I went into it. I've been hunting it now for about 5 or 6 years, and they're getting ready to put a housing project in here. So I've been in here looking for artifacts and documenting it and putting them in a display case for the Historical Society of Rockingham County. The cabin site was situated in this area before it was pushed off by the bulldozer several years ago, and for the housing development. And I came in here after the bulldozer scraped it off and started finding artifacts in this area right here in front of this cedar tree. The stone chimney was pushed this way, piled up here behind the tree, then pushed off in the woods. But this area right in here is where the cabin stood. And it probably dated to like late 1700s in my estimation. As the bulldozer came through here and scraped off the ground in front of the, where the house stood in front of a cedar tree, uncovered some major artifacts in this area. And here's the first one, a spot where I found a colonial medallion, which is unknown. It's probably of European origin. It had a hole in it, and for wiring, that's why I know it's a medallion. It was stamped on the front. On the back is a negative image of the front. And we do not know anything about how old it is. It's got a picture of a European soldier's head on it. But it was found in this spot. The second spot where I found an artifact that helps date this site is a early American flat button. Well, let's say the flat button may have been of European origin because it's so intricate and unique. It's perforated around the edges of it. I doubt we made buttons like this in America. It was probably imported from France or Europe somewhere. But it is a flat button, and it probably dates to the early 1800s. It was found in this spot right here, which we think might have been where they throwed out a lot of garbage. I found a lot of trash in here, early trash, but also I found 2 stick pin brooches in here and some other artifacts. The third artifact spot, I dug this last fall in what I call the trash pile area to the left of the cabin site, and the cedar tree was out at the edge of a wheat field. They've mowed it off since then so I can get in here with my detector better. But this is a Victorian period picture brooch. It once had a Victorian picture in it. It had a pin on the back of it like a sash buckle, but it was a brooch type thing, and a woman wore it on a sash or on a blouse. And something similar was sent to the Just Dug section of American Digger magazine recently. It had the same design of a flower on it, and it had the picture still in the brooch. This picture's been broken out by the plow probably. When I first found this brooch, it was all bent up, and I had to kind of straighten it out. It was all beat up and bent like it had been hit by the plow. This fourth spot of artifact finds was my last artifact find, found on the 25th of May, last Friday, and this is the exact spot I dug this artifact. It was almost 1 foot and maybe 1.5 feet down in the ground. I got a good reading on my brass side of my Nautilus metal detector earphones, and I said, well, this may be brass. So I dug down and I saw the top part of this sticking straight down in the ground, so I had to pull it up by hand. I actually looped my fingers through the loop of that key. This is an early American door key, about 1800 maybe, and I looped it with my finger and pulled it out of the ground. It was sticking straight down, and it was almost 1 foot down, and this is the exact spot where I found it. We're looking at what's left of the stone chimney attached to the Garrett cabin site. This was after they pushed it off into the woods and recently just spread it out with a bulldozer. I was told to go over this because sometimes artifacts are embedded in the chimney stone. It was a habit in the 1800s of people putting a silver dollar in the chimney stones at one time. So I've yet to go over this very, very good with my metal detector. But in the woods behind it is a beautiful scene. I have found artifacts in the woods behind it, like a Civil War period roller buckle. This last artifact I actually found at the beginning when I started hunting down here on the Garrett cabin site. Most of the stuff was bulldozed down the hollow here, foundation stones of the cabin and everything. It was pushed off down in this hollow. When I first came down here with my detector, a Nautilus, I was digging iron stuff starting out, and then I pulled this out of the ground accidentally. This is an 1800 horse stirrup, and you can date this using guides to colonial artifacts. Melted lead, could be a fired pistol ball. I'd say that's a fired pistol ball, maybe. Mm-hmm. It is an artifact. It's a pistol ball that splattered against a rock. A little bucking ball, maybe. Oh, look what I found.